Promise that still good in me. Oh, I've done wrong. Ran away from the city and know it's been too long, too long. Sorry I changed on you. I'm sorry I changed. Sorry I changed on you.
Called the Peace in Wartime. This is the Book of Enoch, chapters 52 through 55 by Zanes, Coxville, and NoopooH. The 7 black walking orbs / planets. Utah Kenu NoopooH, black 7-9 stool foundation power. Verse 1. There my eyes beheld a deep valley, and wide was its entrance. Explanation. This will be explained in chapter 53. And all who dwell on land and on the sea and in islands shall bring to it gifts, presents, and offerings, yet that deep valley shall not be full. Explanation. The Quran, chapter 50. And the trumpet is blown, that is the promised day, and every soul will come forward accompanied by a driver and a witness. You were in neglect of this, so we lifted our screen from you, and your vision today is keen. And his escort would say, this is what I have ready with me. Throw into hell every stubborn disbeliever, preventer of good, aggressor, doubter who fabricated another God with God, toss him into the intense agony. His escort would say, our Lord, I did not make him rebel, but he was far astray. He would say, do not feud in my presence. I had warned you in advance. The decree from me will not be changed, and I am not unjust to the servants. And on that day we will say to hell, are you full? And it will say, are there any more? So this lines up with what this says here. This is the Book of Enoch, right? So all who dwell on land, on the sea, and in the island shall bring to it gifts, present, offering, yet the deep valley shall not be full. All right, and even right here when it says his escort will say, our Lord, I did not make him rebel, but he was far astray. He would say, do not feud in my presence. I had warned you in advance. The same thing with Noon states to the religionists. Should do y'all rather that judgment day happen all of a sudden, or you be warned? You be warned in advance. And it also says that thankfully or hopefully we got the latter. So this is the same thing now. We're riding up into the judgment now. It's into the sentencing time. So everything y'all gonna see happening to people is, they're gonna be trying to say, oh, I didn't have enough time. No, you was warned. But again, people don't realize because they are selfish and they're being influenced by these spirit forces and their surroundings in society, and they ignore the signs. So they're going to be trying to say the same thing, which they're doing right now. But right now, people still think they got time because certain events haven't happened yet. But again, this stuff has been written already. But people are choosing to do the wrong thing and think they're going to trick somebody when it's time for them to go. Listen to Utah's Jupiter Sound Right Reason. Verse 30 was recited to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from Gabriel, who is called NoopooH, in Noon Science, the messenger of the gods and orbs. Here is the gematria. So we got Gabriel, which you'll find is in the name for the angel Gabriel in I think the Old Testament and in the New Testament. All right, the ibis bird, which is 45. This is the Tahuti's animal. The ibis bird was one of Tahuti's animals. See, Tahuti, Thoth, Hermes, God of scribes, science, magic, time, medicine, reckoning, cults, wisdom, and the peace of the gods, the companion of Ma'at. The meaning of through this name, what is that? Duitwi or Digihuti, represented by the hieroglyph of the Ibis, is unknown. European Egyptologists propose he of Djout, an unknown location, he of the cattle of speech, he who speaks in the temple, he who selects, he who chooses, he has an accumulation of titular names. This is an Ibis bird. All right. The Book of Enoch was revealed 870 years before Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. All right. The Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch, and you can get down here. The older sections of Enoch, mainly in the Book of the Watchers, of the texts are also estimated to date from 300 to 200 BC. And the last part of the book of parables probably to 100 BC. So if you count 570 AD where Muhammad was born and go back, that's 570 years, and then you go back 300 years, that's they give you right there. All right, so that's 870 years. All right. Muhammad is traditionally to say it have been born in 570 in Mecca and to have died 632 AD. So you can do the math, you can see that. Their hands shall commit iniquity. Whatsoever they produce, by labor the sinners shall devour with crime, but they shall perish from the face of the Lord of spirits and from the face of his earth. They shall stand up and shall not fail forever and ever. Explanation: NoopooH is being called the Lord of Spirits, although NoopooH is not spirits at this time. This is what they shall stand up means. The writer also explained that the mind, power, and mental influence of NoopooH starts at point 3 south of the order circle and pull upward counterclockwise. So here it talks about, and from the face of the earth they shall stand up and shall not fail forever and ever. All right. And NoopooH creates upward mentality and physically starting at point 3 south. See figures 3 and 6 in part 2 of this volume, because NoopooH is the original creation prime mover in absolute nature and the original brain news meltdown and the matter of the universes of of absolute almighty nature. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, 184 in part. Page 184 in part. I beheld the angels of punishment who were dwelling there and preparing every instrument of Satan. Listen, reason. Who people call the devil today is the serpent god of ancient times and of the present time, known by different names like Set, short for serpent, Set, short for serpenthood, Satan, Belial, Python, Leviathan, the serpent, the evil one, the prince of darkness, lord of the flame, the vampire, the werewolf, Mephistopheles, Beelzebub, the fiend, the prince of demons, the dragon, lord, etc. The devil is the negative side of the gods and goddesses of the universes, and Satan's job and obligation to the negative forces of nature is to act as the whip or punishment of person and things for the gods and goddesses. So let me say right here, we're talking about the orbs. And this, I'm going to tie this into what I said a couple of videos back about people trying to use magic to make things happen. You must understand, especially if you in Noon, you have to understand that if you are not right and exact, this is what matter of fact, this is pertaining to balancing things out with people that you've done wrong, right? And this is apply to people that does magic, but they do understand to a degree about karma. All right, so until you settle your debts, your karmic debt with nature in general, and to people you have wronged, and you'll say you're dealing with magic while that is taking place, and you're trying to get positive things done, you're only going to pull from the negative side of the orbs. And these whip guards right here, the negative side, you're only going to be pulling from downward. Even if you're trying to do something positive for somebody, understand until you make it right, because we in the balancing of judgment and equality and justice. And justice doesn't mean just people doing the right thing. It also means things being set right. Like if I did somebody wrong, say I hit somebody's car and I refuse to deal with that, you go to court, and you go to court to get what? Justice done, right? That means the people in the court must force me to do the right thing because I did the wrong thing. So when you see the nature books talk about justice, it doesn't mean just you trying to do the right thing on your own, which is always a good look. But when you don't do the right thing and you fail to take responsibility, the justice forces are now going to come into play after the negative whip guards get you for doing things that the guards don't like. On top of you pulling from the negative side, when you're doing magic, it's not like the energy. They have the right of way to not let certain things happen. But if you constantly and consistently keep going to the magic, you're pulling from the negative side, especially if you did wrong to somebody, is what I'm telling. But if you did right and you pretty much a balanced person, pulling from the positive side, they're going to work with you. But if you owe people debt from doing them wrong and all of that, you're going to be in more trouble than you realize. All right? I say, see, these are the whip guards of punishment of persons and things for the gods and goddesses of absolute nature, and be the scapegoat guard for the iniquities of all during the duration of the moon cycle. Satan and Set is the rover and roam among the gods and goddesses, together with Satan's matching female energy and principle. And the reason why they have to be the whip, because remember, the orbs are too big to do it themselves. So they have these energies that are down here to punish you for doing wrong. See? And they bear the blame. They bear the blame during the moon cycle. So anything went wrong, that was the devil, or that was Shaitan, that was Iblis, or that was the extraterrestrials, or was some kind of negative spirits from witchcraft, or whatever name that people use. These were the energies that was causing the backlash when people did wrong. Person, places, or things. Introduction to the Nature Book 1, pages 224, 225. And then I inquired of the angel of peace, who proceeded with me, for whom those instruments were preparing. He said, these are they preparing for the kings and powerful ones of the earth, that thus they may perish. Explanation. This was explained in verse 3. However, here's an extra verse to add context. Revelation 19:17 through 18. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that had fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men. Verse 6. After which the righteous and chosen house of his congregation shall appear, thenceforward unchangeable, in the name of the Lord of spirits. Nor shall those mountains exist in his presence, as the earth, and the hills as the fountains of waters exist, and the righteous shall be relieved from the vexation of sinners. Explanation. Those chosen to survive Armageddon and the cataclysm will not be affected or harmed, while the guilty will be destroyed in front of everyone. Chapter 53. Then I looked and turned myself to another part of the earth, where I beheld a deep valley burning with fire. To this valley they brought monarchs and the mighty. Explanation. Listen to girth of earth ahead, sound right reasoning. What Enoch saw was underneath my girth of earth's ring of fire, volcanoes on the ocean floor called Rift Valley. Alright, this is the ring of fire. And it said, in the case of the former subduction zones are often the result, blow this up a little bit, often result where the heavier plate slips under the lighter plate, forming a deep trench. This subduction changes the dense mantle into buoyant magma, all right, which rises through the crust to the Earth's surface. Over millions of years, this magma creates a series of active volcanoes known as the volcano arc. So even back then, in the nature book, said buoyant just means to help something. It gives you ability to float. Our ancestors and even us had a buoyant system inside of our bodies as well, but that's another conversation. These ocean trenches and volcanic arcs run parallel to one another. For instance, the Aleutian Islands in the United States of Alaska run parallel to the Aleutian Trench. Both geographic features continue to form as the Pacific Plate subducts beneath the North American Plate. Meanwhile, the Andes Mountains of South America run parallel to the Peru-Chile Trench, created as the Nazca Plate subducts beneath the South American Plate. In the case of divergent boundaries, these are formed when tectonic plates pull apart, forming rift valleys. On the seafloor, when this happens, magma wells up in the rift as the old crust pulls itself in opposite directions, where it is cooled by seawater to form new crust. This upward movement and eventual cooling of this magma has created high ridges on the ocean floor over millions of years. The East Pacific Rise is a site of major seafloor spreading in the Ring of Fire located on the divergent boundary of the Pacific Plate and the Cocos Plate west of Central America, the Nazca Plate west of South America, and the Antarctica Plate. The largest known group of volcanoes on Earth is found underwater along the portion of the East Pacific Rise between the coasts of northern Chile and southern Peru. Alright, so we're talking about the valley. So when Enoch, it says right here, I looked and turned myself into another part of the earth where I beheld a deep valley burning with fire. So Enoch is looking underneath the ring of fire at this point, because it's a valley and it's called rift valleys. You can find this if you study rift valleys. I'm gonna drop a video right after this point in order to show you how that works. All right.
A rift valley is formed as a result of the sinking of a portion of the crust between cracks on the surface of the earth. There are 3 stages in the formation of a rift valley. Stage 1. Layers of rock are subject to tension or stress. Stage 2. Faults or cracks develop in the layers and the central block begins to subside. Stage 3. After subsidence, a depression with steep sides is formed. This is a rift valley. You can make your own rift valley using a long eraser. Take a long eraser and use a pencil to draw fault lines on it. Use a cutter or blade to cut the eraser across the lines drawn earlier. Place the pieces of the long eraser together to make the eraser whole again. Apply a little pressure on the corner pieces and lift the whole eraser above the table. Slowly pull the corner pieces apart and you can see how the land in the middle of fault line subsides and a rift valley is formed. The Great Rift Valley of Africa is a special physical feature of the Southern Plateau. It is a long, narrow valley formed as a result of vertical cracks that developed because of the movements within the earth. It extends for a total distance of 5,000 kilometers from Lake Malawi through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba to the Dead Sea in Jordan. Many freshwater lakes like Malawi, Rudolph, Tanganyika are found here.
Alright, so let's go to the next verse 3. And there my eyes beheld the instruments which they were making, fetters of iron without weight. Then I inquired an angel of peace who proceeded with me, saying, for whom are these fetters and instruments prepared? Alright, so here, if you go back another video or so, I was talking about how the spirits can be trapped and will be trapped in the orbs, whether spirits on this planet or other spirits, because they all have burning cores underneath their surfaces. Spirit beings would have to be those who've been dedicated and obligated to evolution. In order to bring them back into positivity, they have to be put in a spot where they have to be burned chemically into those negative chemicals have to be changed. And that takes place in what's called fission. So when you trap these these spirit gods and goddesses in the planet's center, they'll be forced to stay down there and burn for a certain amount of time until their chemical makeup becomes more positive. And this is what's called hell to the spirit beings. Excuse me, because they're going to be trapped down there. And again, religion not being clear enough because of the editors of religion making people say, hell is a spiritual place, but all of them will tell you that hell is what? Underneath. So when you understand scientifically that wherever there are any volcanoes at is where the earth magma and lava is, that is considered hell. That's the fire that all religions are unclear about because of the rulers of religion. But this is what Enoch was talking about. All right. For whom are these fetters and instruments prepared? He replied, these are prepared for the host of Azazel, that they may be delivered over and adjudged to the Lord's condemnation, and their angels may be overwhelmed with hurled stones that the Lord of spirits has commanded. So, once again, Azazel is a spirit. And it just means the one removed. And that's why in the Old Testament you will see they had the goat that the so-called children of Israel would take the goat and put it on a mountain, and at a certain part of the year they will push the goat off the cliff or sacrifice goats that's as a symbolic way of removing their sins for the year, whatever the case. But there is there's a title, it's a spirit or spirits called Azazel. These spirits will all be Azazel or Azazel as a group because they will be removed. Tahuti, Osiris, Isis, Tahuti's counterpart, Geb is like the planet, so you can't really remove. Geb is not a spirit. Geb is the actual surface of the planet, but Jeb will be punished when the earth goes through her transformation of earthquakes and all the stuff like that. Geb will feel pain from that, but Jeb is the surface of the planet. Jeb is not a spirit. All right, but other spirits that will be removed will be put in that underneath these mountains of fire, or the ring of fire. All right. So hurl stones as the Lord of spirits commands. Explanation: listen to sound right reason. We start at 3 south or 0 degrees and move counterclockwise degree by degree to 0.6 east or 180 degrees. Then further over to 0.9 north or 360 degrees. Now we go to 0.6 west or 540 degrees of the smack circle of order. During degree 540 or at its completion, the 0.6 west cataclysm arise. Nonetheless, after the smack circle of order gets started, that is to say, after it begins with conception of the universes of absolute nature, this big order has 80 circle cycles to go before the cataclysm that begins to disintegrate of the universe's advent. The 0.3 south cataclysm is called the solids cataclysm because it destroys persons and things by using solids, objects like parts of earth, stones, rocks, asteroids, comets, meteorites, volcanoes, earthquakes, fire and brimstones, man-made objects, solid objects picked up by tornadoes and other storms, etc. Let it be always let it be known. So book 3 is confirming what Enoch was saying as well, with more in its scientific term, because that is what's going to happen. In other words, Jupiter will be sending asteroids from the sky, while our Girther Earth will move my Girther Earth's surface in specific places to bring destruction to the guilty in all that they have done to the innocent after February 5th, 1962 AD. All were warned to stop in various ways. All right. Verse 6, Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel shall be strengthened in that day, and shall then cast them into a furnace of blazing fire, that the Lord of spirits may be avenged of them for their crimes, because they became ministers of Satan and seduced those whom dwell upon earth. Explanation: this just means many would die when the rings of fire volcanoes start to go into full active mode. However, many will suffer judgment before then, even now at the time of this writing, January 2nd, 2023 at 12:10 a.m. Verse 7, in those days shall punishment go forth from the Lord of spirits, and the receptacles of water which are now above the heavens shall be opened, and the fountains likewise which are under the heavens and under the earth, and all the waters which are in the heavens and above them shall be mixed together. The waters which be above the heavens shall be the agent, and the water which is under the earth shall be the recipient, and all shall be destroyed who dwell upon the earth, and who dwell under the extremities of heaven. Explanation. This was explained in verse 5, how the three south cataclysm will bring in water and rocks as part of the destruction of the evil generation of the age of Pisces era to the age of Aquarius era, which started in 1960. The sun cycle of justice and balancement started 2 years later, February 5th, 1962 AD. Let this be known. Here's another quote to support this water cycle, water cataclysm for the guilty that earned it all by themselves. Matthew 24:37-39. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. By these means, verse 11, by these means shall they understand the iniquity or evil which they have committed on earth, and by these means shall they perish. Explanation. This needs no explanation. Chapter 54. Afterwards, the Ancient of Days repented and said, in vain have I destroyed all the inhabitants of the earth. And he swore by his great name, saying, henceforth I will not act thus towards all those who dwell upon earth, but I will place a sign in the heavens, and it shall be a faithful witness between me and them forever, as long as the days of heaven and earth last upon the earth. Explanation. This is Jupiter speaking, not NoopooH Ray, the sun. To get a better equal standing on what Jupiter is talking about, look at the definition of forever. Alright, see the word? It means often written as one. From late 17th century is a noun. By 1858, emphatic forevermore. And look at the word ever. Ever means at any given time, always of uncertain origin, no cognative in any Germanic language, perhaps a contraction as in fiore or fior, literally even in life. The expression tu fore is common in Old English writings. First element is almost certain related to the Old English always ever, from Proto-Germanic, extended of AU, vital force, lifelong, life, eternity. Liberman suggests sound elements is comparative with adjective suffix ray. Alright, so eternity and noon has a particular place and limitation. We're talking about eternity. See, eternity is down here, and that's 36 million years, and you got totality up here, and you have infinity right here. Alright? Under the red line is 36 million years. Humans only live under these 2 points. Notice the word eternity in the circle. After the three south cataclysm, the events that will occur in February 5th, 2025 AD won't happen again for another 72 million years. Above the eternity line is where our ancestors, the pygmy gods and goddesses, are born from Mother Girth of Earth, womb below Lake Victoria in Africa, surrounded by Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Reason why Lake Victoria was given the name Victoria in its original name. Lake Victoria is an African gem bordering Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. This expansive body of water stretches into the horizon, appearing more like a sea than a lake. Gentle waves are punctuated by many small verdant islands that play host to a rich variety of wildlife. It is known in Kenya as Namlo, meaning body of endless water, and in Uganda as Nun Labule, home of the gods. Both names allude to the grand scale of the lake, largest in Africa and second largest in the world. So once again, which me and Anoop had said before, that the pygmy gods home that Afro drew in the nature books, book 2, you can see the womb, and that's where it has the birthplace of the gods.
We are now in one of the largest lake in Africa. It's called Lake Victoria. It's shared by 3 countries. The border is shared by 3 countries. Huge water reserve. What's the name of the lake in Africa? It's called NoopooH Lake. That's the African name for this country, this lake. But when the English came, they gave their own name. They call it Lake Victoria. So actually it's called NoopooH Lake. This lake belongs to the Africans, not the English people.
The nature of the energy from the spirits, the gods.
It says that this is the source of energy from the gods. So they call it NoopooH Lake. That's more like it. Right now there are 7.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.7 million souls have come right now. As I'm waiting to do the blessing, 7.7, 7.8, 7.9. The word is going around that a lot of beings have come here. They've also come down from the inner world to this lake right now. They've come down all the way from the inner world.
It's been too long. Sorry I changed on you. Sorry I changed. Sorry I changed on you.
This is Lake Victoria in Africa. All right, so when you look into the language, which is the Bantu, the language tell you this is the home of the gods. They knew that the gods came from there. And I spoke on this in another video prior to this. All right, known science states that this is where the 9 pygmy god races came. And here we have visible physical proof in their language of such a thing. All right. Afterwards, according to this, my decree, when I shall be disposed to seize them beforehand by the instrumentality of angels in the day of affliction and trouble, my wrath and my punishment shall remain upon them. My punishment and my wrath, says God, the Lord of spirits. Explanation. The day of affliction is February 5th, 2025 AD. 45, verse 5. O you kings, O you mighty, who inhabit the world, you shall behold my elect one sitting upon the throne of my glory, and he shall judge Azazel, all his associates, and all his hosts, in the name of the Lord of spirits. Likewise I beheld hosts of angels who were moving in punishment, confined in a network of iron and brass. Then I inquired of the angel of peace, who preceded me, to whom these under confinement were going. Now remember that using iron and brass, I told you when you watch the last video, if you go to the planet element charts, they'll tell you which planets have each metal. Okay, like the sun, Jupiter, and Saturn or Saturn is gold. Okay, so if you look at the last video, there's a list of them. They'll tell you what each metal goes for each planet. So it's telling you here, just like the nature books tell you, that these he said, I beheld the host of angels who were moving in punishment, confined in a network of iron and brass. See, when it says that it's gonna, when we go back up here, when it says that some of these people are gonna be in fetters, right? They're gonna be trapped in fetters. What it says that. Let me go back. When you see the word fetters and stuff, because it said it was going to deep valley burning with fire. Let me go back up. Just give me a second. Just to make this understood. Hold on. Just type it in. Give me a second, y'all. All right. And their minds behold the instruments in which they were making fetters of iron without weight. And then I inquired of the angel of peace who proceeded with me, saying, for whom these fetters and instruments prepared. Again, these fetters are symbolic of the the deep concentration that's coming forth from the orbs, that's going to be controlling these people and trapping these other spirits in the cores of these planets as punishment. That's why it's saying without weight. But in noon, these spirit beings are created by brain concentration. Those are the original spirit gods and goddesses, and they have other spirits that can be created from spirit to spirit. But here it's being clear that these spirits here, see, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel shall be strengthened in that day, and shall then what? Cast them into a furnace of blazing fire. So it's talking about original spirit gods and goddesses are being used as hands, the yod in Hebrew, to grab on lesser spirits to toss them into under the ring of fire, or further down into the earth, depending on how they do that. All right, so let's go back. Just wanted to explain that. Okay. All right, it says, okay, we got down here. All right. Afterwards, according to this my decree, when I shall be disposed to seize them, see, beforehand, by the instrumentality of angels. See, you had the word what? Mentality, mental, because spirit beings are created, the original spirit beings are created from deep mind concentration from their centers. So here Enoch is saying the same. So whoever translated this picked a real good word, because it lines up. By the instrumentality of angels in the day of affliction and trouble, my wrath and my punishment shall remain upon them, and my punishment and my wrath, says God, the Lord of Spirit. So they're going to keep them down there for a certain amount of time. All right, we got past this. All right. There likewise I beheld wholesome angels who were moving in punishment, confined. See, they were confined in the network of what? Iron and brass. That's other spirit beings. Putting them in, arresting them basically. Then I inquired of the angel of peace who proceeded with me, to whom those under confinement were going. He said to each of their elect and their beloved that they may be cast into the fountains and deep recess of the valley. So we know that these are not human beings, because human beings won't last past the top part of the lava. You tossed a human being in the lava and tried to force them all the way down to the bottom of the Rift Valley, they won't make it. Physically, we can't survive that type of heat, but a spirit can. So here it's telling me the spirit's going to be put down there in the valley, the Rift Valley, which is underneath the ring of fire, or volcanoes in general. That's why I dropped the video showing you what a Rift Valley is. Okay? It said they shall, in the recess, mean the bottom of the valley. Verse 8, and that valley shall be filled with their elect and beloved, the days of whose life shall be consumed, but the days of their error shall be innumerable. So it's saying people they ain't gonna be the number how long they're gonna be down there. Then shall princes combine together and conspire, the chiefs of the east among the Parthians and Medes shall remove kings, in whom a spirit of perturbation shall enter. They shall hurl them from their thrones, springing as lions from their dens, and like famished wolves in the midst of the flock. And perturb just means to move something. They shall go up and tread upon the land of their elect. The land of their elect shall be before them. The threshing floor, the path, and the city of my righteous people shall impede the progress of their horses. They shall rise up to destroy each other. Their right hand should be strengthened, nor shall a man acknowledge his friend or his brother, nor the son his father and his mother, until the number of the dead bodies shall be completed by their death and punishment. Neither shall this take place without cause. In those days shall the mouth of hell be opened, into which they shall be immersed. Hell shall destroy and swallow up sinners from the face of the elect. So again, it's talking about the spirit's going to be casted into this ring of fire or wherever part of the earth where they're going to be casted in, because it's all hot down there. And that's the only way these spirits can be not just tortured, but chemically changed over a certain amount of time where they'll be brought back into a more positive state. And depending on the type of spirit and what it did throughout, the last couple of thousand years, or even through evolution over time, they all gonna have to pay for that. And their elect, meaning their ruler over them, gonna watch them get taken down through there. One, all of existence is in a state of hell. So we need to understand that too. Alright, so this is one of the symbols of the smack circle. We are here at 3 South, making our way on to the other side. So this is the death cycle hell NoopooH at 3 South. So we are in the duat. Alright, as our ancient Egyptian ancestors call it. We are in the underworld. We're afterlife. See, the original life was heaven, NoopooH, 9 ether. Once everything died of scientific death, you got what? Afterlife. You have the life of life and then the life of death. So everybody should understand who can hear my voice. You are in the afterlife. You're in the afterlife of life. That's the part that they left off. We are in the life of death now. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, page 140 in part. Second explanation. Listen to reason. The guilty by nature are those who ravage, rape, and plunder Mother Earth and exploit the peoples thereof and continue to destroy Goddess Earth inside as well as outside, bringing planet Earth and possibly the universe by chain reaction to the brink of destruction. The guilty by nature are those who transgress, violate the laws of nature, although they know better, know indeed that they are doing wrong, because their instincts and ability to reason, their conscience, tell them that their action is wrong. The guilty by nature are those who cause division and violence and death among individuals, groups of individuals, nations of individuals, and races of individuals by one-sided racism, greed, obsession with delusion of grandeur, and their desire to rule or ruin. The guilty by nature are those who refuse to learn the laws of nature after the laws become available, or fail to practice them after they know them. It is so that the guilty by nature are those who deliberately and intentionally cause others pain and suffering without justification. The guilty by nature are those who perpetuate and practice deception, devilment, and death as a way of life and survival, believing that they live a charmed life and thereby believe that there be no end to their reign of terror. But noon informs them that it is time for a new order. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Listen to reason. Now that the moon cycle, the cycle of forgiveness and mercy, is over, sacrificial lambs and also scapegoatism for the guilty and by the guilty are unacceptable and ineffective in this Libra cycle, and therefore such sacrifices as the innocent paying penalties for the guilty will cause negative backlash and laws of nature, destruction of the guilty, because the moon cycle, which is the last part of the evolutionary cycle, is over, and every person, place, and thing existing are going into the revolutionary cycle. The revolution cycle now. Excuse me. The cycle of judgment and restoring balance to persons and things for the first part of the present cycle. The revolutionary cycle is the cycle of Libra. See figure 7 in part 2 of this novenary science for the evolutionary and revolutionary cycles known. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, pages 265 to 267. Chapter 55. After this I beheld another army of chariots with men riding them, and they came upon the wind from the east, from the west, and from the south. The sound of the noise of their chariots was hard, and when the agitation took place, the saints out of heaven perceived it. The pillar of earth shook from its foundation, and the sound was heard from the extremities of the earth and to the extremities of heaven at the same time. Then they fell down and worshipped the Lord of spirits. This is the end of the second parable. This writer predicts that after Armageddon, the climax war, which includes the point 3 South cataclysm, each human race on all earth will not have too much of a problem finding its proper place on this planet. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 2, page 229 in part. So what you're seeing right here It's talking about the cataclysm because it says the sound of the noise of their chariots was heard. Remember, when volcanoes go off, they compared that to a bunch of horses running at the same time. All you got to do is go online and watch a television with surround sound or some good headphones and type in a bunch of horses running, or look at it in a movie and you'll hear that rumbling sound when it's a bunch of horses. This is how the cataclysm is gonna be known that it is near. And it says, and the sound was heard from the extremities of the earth unto the extremities of the heaven at the same time, meaning the extremities mean deep within. So from the inside all the way up, that sound is going to reverberate, and that's going to be the great shaking when the sun shakes the earth in such a way it's going to shake up a whole bunch of mess. Whatever's left after Armageddon war, the sun's going to shake the earth and clear up anything else. So while those extraterrestrials that don't supposed to be here try to come out of the come from on the bottom, because they're not going to be able to stay down there because of the shaking, and as they try to dip and get out of the earth, Jupiter going to be throwing them rocks down here, and they're going to be held in place and get destroyed trying to escape. All right, so this concludes this Book of Enoch, chapter 52 through 55. Stay tuned for more. True mental cosmic peace and martial wartime.
Desire.